All right. So what we've done so far is define the three W's. We've got the origin story, so you know where it's come from and you understand why it exists. Now what we're going to do is go to the next layer, the intermediate level. Okay? And basically what that means is how deep are your answers to the three W's? When people first learn this, they go, yeah, I'll get, why buy anything, why buy us, why buy now? But their answers usually are stuck at surface level answers like features. Oh, they need this feature. Or a super high level benefit like, oh, they want to increase revenue. And the whole purpose of the three W's is to essentially make a waterproof deal. It's like dynamite or something like that. And when you're in sales, what you want to be able to do is consistently move your deal to close as fast as possible. Ideally faster each time because you're getting better and better at it, like a surgeon. But if you only have surface level answers, they're not going to work. It's like taking a watch down a foot underwater. It's waterproof, but then you go 20 feet and it breaks. So getting good at not just getting answers, but being able to unit test your answers one at a time. It allows you to have to know less context. And unit test your answers, the three W's, why buy anything, why buy us, why buy now, to see if they will withstand pressure. Because what you're doing is you're creating this energy, this power, so that anytime something happens in the sales process, the deal gets stuck, you get surprised, you bring these three W's to them to solve the problem. So this isn't an academic situation. This is no shit. Sales. You're going to battle. I hate that metaphor, but oftentimes that's what it is. And this is your ammunition. So you really want to get good answers. Not to pass the test, but to actually have something that's going to work. So in this module, we're going to talk about the depth. And the way that you test depth of the three W's is you ask the three WNs. Okay? Which basically is the opposite question for each W. Okay, if you re-listen to the module before, you'll hear I kind of addressed it, but this is the next level of understanding. So, why buy anything? The opposite question is, why not do nothing? Right? Like, is there any suffering that happens if I choose to do nothing? And so many deals are lost because the suffering wasn't big enough to why not just do nothing. There wasn't a good answer. Okay? The WN, the why not question for why by us is, why not do this in-house? Or why not do this with this other cheaper version, competitor? If there's not a good enough answer, they're going to do that. And for example, when you're trying to negotiate price, they say, well, we're just going to go with these other guys, they're cheaper. This is the W, this is the WN, where you remind them what happens if they go with someone other than you that might be cheaper. It's not acceptable. And then the next one is, why buy now? The questions is, why not wait? Or why not just let the timeline slide? Now the key thing here is part of the design, what makes the 3W so brilliant, is that the rep usually wants to only cover things that are supportive of their deal. And they're hoping that the prospect doesn't ask these questions to themselves or to the sales rep. And so the whole time they're waiting, they're like, please don't ask these questions. Please don't ask these questions. But here's the deal. These three W's are not just the questions you need to ask to make sure that you're not wasting time, to make sure that you have ammunition, to make sure that you can address anything that comes up. But these are the same questions that any buyer is going to ask themselves. Any CFO is going to ask the buyer before they buy. Okay? And so what you're trying to do here is, if they don't ask these questions to you, you're actually bringing them to the table and asking them. You can ask it directly, you can ask it indirectly, you can ask 5 questions that essentially add up to this. But you're doing this because you know that it just sucks to sell when you don't have good answers to 3 W's. You know that your human nature is going to ask the 3 W's, hear a bunch of features and surface level benefits, and be like, yes, I got it. But you're going to hear my voice in the back of your head going, yeah, well, WN. Why not just do nothing? Why not just go the competitor or cheaper version or do it yourself? Why not just let the timeline slide, or why not just wait? And you're going to just close your eyes and imagine that at the end of the deal, when you gave like 10 different demos, maybe you've told your board that you're going to close this deal, you told your CRO or VP of sales that you're going to close this deal, and then all of a sudden they go dark. They ghost you, or they start giving you all these bad answers, and now what? What are you going to do? So you don't want to be left in that position. So going deep, I'm telling you, is so key. And in the session that we have together in real time, we're going to take a couple founders through their deals, going deep. And it's going to be an emotional experience, because it's hard to get these answers sometimes. And we want to avoid it. It's like, oh, I don't want to, open that can of worms. But the best founders, the best salespeople open a can of worms and see, is there still a deal here? Are we still at the table? And I didn't hit upon it right away, but these, why not questions, you can then go like 5 layers deeper, kind of in lean manufacturing, the 5 whys. But it's like, why not just wait? Okay. Well, why is that important? What happens if you don't do that? Okay. Suffering. I get that. Cool. And so you got to keep going deeper. And what you'll find is you go away from features and benefits and you get down to real suffering. And oftentimes it's suffering for the person in their role. There's suffering. Well, so let's take a step back. There's suffering for the organization. This bad thing happens to the organization. Then there's suffering for this role. I'm responsible for this, and this is bad for this role. Then there's the personal. Like, oh, if I don't do this, I'm not going to show I'm a leader. And if I don't show I'm a leader, I'm not going to get either my bonus, or I'm not going to get that promotion to become an executive. Right now I'm a middle manager. And you'll see that there's so many different layers to these answers. And so many people try to race ahead. But with this training, you're going to know you're going to slow things down to then go fast. Like in the military, they talk about, what do they say? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So by getting these answers, you're going to go smooth. And when you're smooth, you're going to go fast. Okay? So that's the going deep part. And I belabored this some. I went kind of slow at times, because this is where the meat of it is. And what you're going to find is it's emotional to go through this. And this is why it's so important on your team. There needs to be 2 people. Okay? Someone whose deal it is and someone who's going to bring you through these questions. Could be a board member if you trust them. It could be a co-founder. It could be you, the founder, talking to your lead sales rep. It could be your technical founder talking to you, the non-technical founder, or vice versa. And you really got to challenge it, because what you're going to find is when it's your deal, you almost melt down and you can't keep yourself honest. But then at the same moment, I say, okay, now let's change seats. Now talk to someone else about their deal. All of a sudden you become a world genius at it. And you can show them where they are lacking. It's just what's going to happen. We'll demonstrate this. And so it's to know that we have hijacks. It's hard for us to be truthful about our own deals. And so this process helps you become truthful about them.